Hi there everyone. Today we're talking about something many of you have probably experienced. When your ex says, maybe we will get back together in the future or someday. Now let's break down what this really means and what you should do about it. So, first of all, to kind of set the scene, I want you to picture something, okay? I want you to picture two people breaking up. There's drama, there's tears, maybe even some slammed doors. And right before one person leaves, they drop that line, right? Maybe we'll get back together one day. And those words, they stick. They become this little beacon of hope that the other person then clings on to. Fast forward a few weeks or a few months, well, one person reaches out, usually that other person that's now left in the dark about whether or not their ex will rekindle things and reach out themselves at some point, or at least be receptive to their reach out, right? So this person then, they reach out and they think enough time has passed, only to hear not yet. So, that's fucking confusing, right? Especially when an ex specifically said they can see a future together, it's at least at some point, right? So what's really going on here? First, we need to understand something very crucial your ex is thinking in terms of their current feelings. And feelings, they change. When they tell you they can see a future together, they are basically looking through foggy binoculars. They might think they see something, but the details are not quite clear. But by the time they get closer, reality often looks completely different. Now, this doesn't mean they were lying to you. Their perception was just clouded by their emotions in the moment. I mean, think about it. Their feelings are constantly shifting based on all sorts of things, like friends, new relationships, work stress, you name it. And here's something else you need to consider. And this might be hard to hear. Sometimes your ex is just trying to let you down gently. They say they can see a future not because they actually believe it, but because they want to cushion the blow of the breakup. It's easier to fill someone with hope after all than, leave them completely devastated and just tell them upfront, even though you kind of know this person wants to get back together, we're never gonna get back together. That is difficult to do. It hurts the other person unnecessarily even more. And now, here's where things start to get a little bit dangerous. Being strung along. Sometimes your ex might unintentionally, or occasionally intentionally, keep you as a backup plan while they explore other options. And they'll say things like, when the time is right, or I just need more time to heal whenever you bring up maybe getting back together. But they never specify what that means. Like, what is the time frame? When will they be ready? And look, I've been there myself. I once spent like 4 months in this exact situation with an ex of mine. We'd go on dates, we'd hook up, and she would still just keep on saying, whenever I brought up the topic of getting back together, she would constantly say, when the time was right. But that time never obviously came, and instead, she slowly started pulling away until I found out that she has met someone else. And I was basically a placeholder until someone better came along, and I just don't want that same shit to happen to you because it fucking sucks. So what do you do if you find yourself in a situation where your ex actually does tell you something along the lines of, maybe we'll get back together at some point, someday in the future, blah blah blah? Well, for one, stop torturing yourself with what ifs. So while you're stuck in limbo, wondering about the future, your ex is likely either moving on or exploring other options. Please stop wondering about the what ifs. What if you got back together? What if they reach out? What if you change XYZ and suddenly you can get back together? No, it's not worth it to think about these things at this point. And even worse, it's not worth it to wait on your ex to actually give you another shot. Because like I said, they're either moving on or exploring other options, or maybe a little bit of both. And every day you spend waiting is another day where you're not healing, you're not necessarily growing. And yes, I know arguments can be made here that you can try to get back with an ex and wait for them to reach out or something at the same time as you heal and grow. But I think if you focus, you have one foot in one hole and the other foot in the other hole, you're not going to really get results in either area. Every day you spend waiting is another day you're not healing, right? You are prolonging your healing through waiting. That's very important. And look, if you genuinely want a chance at reconciliation, here's the counterintuitive truth. You need to let your ex go first. This doesn't mean you just move on for good. This means simply leaving them alone, focusing on your own life, on your own growth, on socializing, on getting yourself straightened out. And then, hopefully, one day, your ex reaches out and you can start something new then. So, in other words, you shouldn't do regular or constant check-ins. You shouldn't be calling and texting your ex anymore once you break up, even if you want them back. You shouldn't be overly nice and, being a pushover if they do reach out. For example, you shouldn't publish cryptic posts on social media, kind of signaling to your ex that you miss them or something like that. You shouldn't rely on jealousy tactics. You shouldn't do the 30-day no contact rule bullshit. And you definitely should not try and show up where your ex will be at, so you can kind of, accidentally stumble upon them. Don't do any of this. Don't do any of these behaviors. They will make you look weak and desperate, and your ex probably will lose attraction as a result. If your ex feels like they can have all the time in the world to decide whether to give you another shot or not, they probably will lose any sense of urgency or mystery, and they will, like I said, lose attraction for you. Like, you need to create distance if you want to re-attract them, because attraction, it grows through space. Don't do this because you want to just play games, but actually give yourself the space, because you want to give yourself the space to heal and grow. Because as you pull away from your ex, right, as you don't contact them anymore, as you're not in touch with them, you suddenly open a lot of this pent-up energy that you can use not for re-attraction, but for actually investing in yourself, for actually doing the work that matters when it comes to re-attraction, for healing and growth. And yes, this distance will also, as a side effect of you focusing on yourself and just, not reaching out to your ex, it will make or inspire your ex to miss you, would be maybe a more softer, nicer word for it. And it will also ignite some separation anxiety in your ex, which makes them all more likely to at some point reach out if they're still fundamentally attracted to you, if you didn't screw up your situation completely, right? And that's what you should be focused on just giving them space, working on yourself during this time, and when they reach out, great. You set up a date, a definite date, where you both know the time and the place of the date taking place. You're honest about your interest, you're honest about the fact that you want to get them back, that you want to get back together, and then you go from there. Now, I have a bunch of other videos on this topic, so we won't go too deep into it right now, but believe me, the point of this video is, if your ex tells you at some point we might get back together, fine. Wait for them to reach out. Well, don't really wait for them to reach out, but when they reach out, try to set a date. In the meantime, date other people, work on yourself, all the 9 yards, all the classic self-help stuff that I constantly preach on this channel. So remember, there is no you and them anymore, there's just you, and you want to make sure you've got your own back here, right? So thanks for watching. If you want to go deeper into my process for getting back with an ex, download my free re-attraction cheat sheet. The link to it is below in the description. And with that being said, take care.